Hi, everyone. Jason Sansucci with Do You Know Drones. I'm back with another fantastic Innovator interview. Today, I have this is going to be a great story. I've been very excited to talk to Mr. Kwasi Perry for a while now. Spotted him on LinkedIn, been following his stuff, and his story, I think, combined with what he's doing and some of the questions that we're going to cover, I think you're going to find them both inspiring and extremely informative. So without further ado, let me pull up onto the stage Mr. Kwasi Perry of UAV Survey LLC. Kwasi, welcome.
Welcome, guys. How you doing? Again, I'm Kwasi Perry with UAV Survey LLC, and I'm really excited to be here with Jason and discuss some things.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you being here. I've been excited about this all morning long, and I'm just going to jump right in. So the first question that I have for you, Perry, is you have an impressive backstory from high school dropout to global tech leader. I need to know more. Can you just give us the Cliff Notes version and also include how you got started in this industry?
Right. So yes, correctly. So I was one of those kids that, I tested well on the end of the year exams. I was in the gifted and talented classes. It's just that the traditional school model didn't hold me. Right. So I did more learning. I was an autodidact, and I did more learning on my own. And the traditional school model just didn't hold me, and that manifested in behavioral problems. And from kindergarten all the way to the 10th grade, which was my last year, I was just like a piece of work, a smart piece of work, but a piece of work. And I just decided that, I would drop out, right? But it's a different dropout story because I ended up moving back to New York City, where I was from, and was working on Wall Street with some bankers that my dad used to work with. So it was an interesting story. And then, eventually I matured and realized that school was the vehicle that can take me to where I needed to go. So I, clamped down, eventually went back to college and graduated summa cum laude, and then everything started taking off.
That is impressive. So how did you come into the drone industry?
Okay, really good question, Jason. I like answering this question as many times as I can. So I'm a when I finished college, I was a geospatial, geography stats, geospatial guy. And work with
a nerd like me. Yay!
Yeah. Nerds rule the world, by the way. And so I worked at the EPA as a research assistant post college, and then I got poached from the EPA by a defense contractor. That introduced me into the defense world. And then from there, I deployed to Iraq as a contractor. Right before deploying to Iraq, I went to a job fair at my college, and the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency was there, and I interviewed with them, and I ended up getting the job there after I got back from Iraq a few months after. And that is the intelligence agency that deals with all satellite and drone intelligence. The Air Force and Navy may fly them, but we actually take the information and disseminate that and analyze that. So that's my background in drones.
Nice. I also happen to read, I like to do a little research. I also happen to read that when you're at Texas A&M, when you're doing your geoscience studies, that you also started working with drones. Can you tell us a little bit about that and sort of how that, between your military background at NGA, and the processing, exploitation, dissemination part. I also worked in a PED, so I totally get it. All the way through how you end up working with oil and gas and working with geosciences, starting at Texas A&M. How do those two worlds collide?
So Jason, your research is impeccable. So I just want to let you know that. But yeah, I was at Texas A&M, master's program of geology, which geology and geography, they're similar, but they're slightly different. Geology is more about the hard rock aspect of it. And being in Texas, it's big on the sedimentary, rocks, which is all about oil and gas, right? So I was there, and they know about my experience working with, the larger scale drones like the Global Hawk and the Predator and things like that, the Reaper. And so they basically tasked me with starting up a UAV program in the geology department. And I did. So we had vendors come to visit us, and we was learning things like photogrammetry, which, to be honest with you, I learned photogrammetry while I was a grad student just from YouTube videos. So you can learn a lot from YouTube. So, and then we started getting it together, but long story short, it didn't materialize the way it was supposed to because the oil industry crashed in 2015, the end of 2014, 2015, and my job prospects were kind of slim. So I said, this is the perfect time to go ahead and hang out my own shingle, and I started my business, UAV Survey LLC.
Brave move, sir. And I commend you for that. A lot of people wouldn't make that jump, but obviously you are not conventional person. So let me jump into the next one. So you've completed hundreds, if not thousands, of projects worldwide.
Correct.
I want to hear about your favorite project?
Favorite project would easily be when I went to Haiti I went with the University of Notre Dame and the University of Florida. It was a National Science Foundation funded project. And, we went there and they were using my UAS/drone skills to be able to create models of the damage, because this is where structural engineers, so basically the Notre Dame and Florida guys were it was a crack team of structural engineers and wind engineers. And I was able to convey to them on a trip with Hurricane Matthew with the University of Florida earlier that UAS, and more specifically creating these 3D models, could help these guys because it was a quantifiable, quantitative model, just not qualitative. And while they were at their desks, they can have with centimeter accuracy the ability to measure and measure things. So for example, they did a 3D model and they were actually able to look at the wind pattern based off the tile and the debris pattern from that 3D model we created. And so it was just basically convergence. I'm a big convergence guy. I'm like, hey, how can we take one technology and one discipline that are normally separate and bring them together to create, better opportunities for science? So that's how that happened.
I love that. And I'm sure that data fusion mindset probably was instilled in you pretty early, because NGA, they're all about data fusion. That's how that community operates.
Correct. Yes. So if you all don't know, I know Jason knows, he's a very, very, very informed individual. So the NGA, you have different types of intelligence. You have what we all know, like the CIA is human, right? The NSA is SIGINT and ELINT and things like that, which is electronic intelligence and human intelligence. Well, the NGA is GEOINT, so geospatial intelligence. Most of us there do that, but I was one of the lucky ones that was introduced to multi-intelligence fusion, where I took our GEOINT, mixed it with human, SIGINT, ELINT, all of those ints, to create a product, a common operational picture, they call it. So yeah, that had a lot to do with what I was able to provide to Notre Dame and them.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. No, I love that. It's pretty cool, because a lot of people think GIS and they think it's so boring and it's just map and like people, what am I gonna do with this map? It's really fun when you start to throw in more elements of data, more outside knowledge into that, and stack it all together to create that common operational picture. That's when the aha moment comes up. And it's so fun. For me, that is the most fun part of this job, when I can see the aha moment in a student, in a client, in a colleague, someone that's learning how to do this, or someone that's been doing this for years, and they're just seeing it from a different perspective. I love that. That is what I wake up in the morning for.
Right. And, I speak with other GIS and, geospatial professionals, and I talk about the democratization of GIS. When that really happens, that's when we'll see the true power of GIS, when it starts leaving us eggheads and start, being integrated with just the community, right? So, there's so many things that have a spatial relationship, and, from food deserts to healthcare, to just so many things, right? So, even like finding a road bike group, right? There's a spatial element to everything. So,
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. So, giving back is something you want to do. What is some advice that you would give to anyone looking to get into this industry?
So I would say be curious. Be curious. Learn as much as you can. You have to have an insatiable desire for self-education and learning new things, right? So, guys, even though I dealt with the national level UAS, like I said, the Global Hawk Reaper, Predator, things like that, I was totally new to commercial, like small UAS, SUAS. I didn't know the programs, I didn't know the flight planning, I didn't know any of that. So that was around the end of 2014. But I just had this insatiable desire to just learn as much as I could about it. And that was the fun part. I would say I'm one of those journey people. Like, the journey is the fun part to me. The destination is just the culmination of the journey. But and I love that. I love finding out that I didn't know something, right? Because that meant that, wow, this is new right here. Let me learn about that. So literally, I just started digesting so much, everything before I even flew a drone. But by the time I flew the drone, I had so much in my head about, small UAS.
So on that, something that I've been working with and something that I've been working on is, how do you find, and actually I want to get your opinion on this. This is going a little bit off script, but when you're trying to find your niche, and question one,
yes,
do you think that the path to success in the drone industry is niche focused. So if I'm starting a new company, I'm picking up this for the first time. I got my Part 107. I went to Best Buy or Costco and got a drone. I'm ready to rock and roll. Oh crap, now what?
Yes.
How does someone find their niche, like the thing that they want to do? How did you find yours? And I guess a little bit is, do you have one? And then how would you suggest people find their own? What's your opinion on that?
That's a great question, Jason. So the best way to do it as far as niche is usually associated with some of the things you're interested in, right? So basically finding a connection between the things that meant a lot to you before you even looked at drones or commercial UAS or whatever discipline you're looking into when you're starting a business. But specifically for drone, find the things that you're interested in, that you have a lot of knowledge about. Then that can be your anchor. So I have this theory where, as long as you have an anchor, you can go out and you can try new things because you have an anchor that you can come back to, right? So basically, as long as you have that I would say comfort, that security blanket, you can start reaching out and look at other things. But I would say probably develop at least one core capability that you can do that is marketable, that is valuable. Because guys, at the end of the day, everybody wants money when they have a business, but you're not going to get money because you want money. You get money because you're valuable, right? And so you create, find something where you can create value, become great at that, and then you can start branching out. For me, it was a little different. I don't really have as much of a niche, and that's because I did so many different things before getting into the SUAS business. So you had, non-defense related geosciences, geospatial. You had the things like, defense related things. And then when I went back to Texas A&M, that was oil and gas. So that was mostly that. So I took all three of those experiences, and it was like a multi-niche, if you will. But yeah, basically, hang it off of something that you appreciate, that you like, that you have knowledge of, and then you can start going out and expanding.
That is great advice, and I appreciate that insight. I think that is very important, and you can have multiple niches.
Yeah.
The thing that I found in this industry is, heck, I'm thinking now with 2015, you might have been in here at least as long as I have, maybe even longer, is that the companies that try to do everything, or the person that tries to do everything and try to be a jack of all trades related to even what they think is the drone niche, fails.
Right.
So when you start to analyze that, it's like GIS. It's like saying, well, I'm a master of GIS. Okay, sure you are. There's so many niches within GIS. It touches every industry, every job on the planet. You can't say that you're a master of all of it. There's no way. Same with the drone industry. So no, I appreciate that, and that advice I think is golden as well. So I appreciate that for sure. So last question, because I'm very curious about this. So I see more research that you have a book currently under review with a fun titled T.A.L.K. It's an acronym. I'll let you explain. So what is this going to be about, and when can we expect to see it on shelves?
Right. So it's the book is I finished it, and just to let you know, you talk about you don't really know what your talents are until you start exploring it. So it was actually a downtime for me and my company. I was going through some organizational changes from the back end, nothing dealing with drones. It was more investor type things. And I said to myself, hey, since you're basically in a depressed state, not physically or mentally depressed, but business wise, take this opportunity to do what you always wanted to do, and that's write a book. So I just started writing about my life. I used a program called Scrivener, so that lets you write in sequentially. So you don't have to write in sequence. You can just write as you remember. And I just wrote about my life. And just about the challenges that I faced growing up as a different kid. I just thought different, right? But also tying all of that and how that helped me become who I am today. And then I threw in some fun little tales that I've been in, in Manila, Philippines. I was in a coup attempt. The funny thing about that, I was a former athlete, and I was actually in Manila. I had an agent to play overseas basketball, and I just have one of those crazy movie type lives. I was in a coup attempt and I escaped and got back to Los Angeles, and I talk about all of those things, and about my life, about learning. As a big element of that is about the autodidactic learning process, about how education, how it's become so formalized that we think we can only learn in institutions. Well, you can learn as much by yourself as well, right? So I talk about that. Then I talk about some of the things I was at with the NGA and some of those stories. Now, I was being reviewed by the Department of Defense and other agencies, and it's been in review for 2 years now. I would assume that COVID kind of slowed that up because it's a non-essential thing. So we're waiting. I would say maybe like the next 6 months to a year. If nothing happens between that time, what I might do is scrub out some of the things that may cause. Well, I was smart enough not to write about security issues, but some of the things I might need to review, and just release the book like that. And that'll be volume 1, and then volume 2 will be from when I started this company onto like today and all those insights. So yes.
Wow. So a volume series. That's very, very impressive. So the T.A.L.K is the amazing life of Kwasi. Like, I love that. I think that's fantastic. As someone that also has a very interesting backstory, I can fully appreciate the desire to want to just get it out there, right? It's a little therapeutic, a little bit, right? Knowing where you came from helps drive where you're going. And then I like the fact that you, like, I can actually see that as an anchor. Like, for me, having all of that in my backstory, that is an anchor for me going forward. It gives me confidence. It gives me passion. It gives me poise. It gives me whatever I need to be able to do this. I mean, I never thought I'd have a podcast. Like, it wasn't something I really thought about. It was a lady in an Uber in Atlanta that recommended it to me after hearing me on a phone call.
Right. Wow.
She was like, honey, I would listen to you read me the phone book. I was like, wow, I'd never even thought about that. Have you thought about a podcast? I was like, I've never thought about a podcast.
Indeed. And Jason, like, I can tell you, like, you have, like, this is natural for you, man. I can just tell it's natural. You have like you have a broadcasting voice, you have a broadcasting, like, personality, and you do your research. Like, your research is amazing. It's things you ask me questions I wouldn't even have known that you were going to ask, and it's just really good.
I told you there'd be a few curveballs, but I love the casual nature, the humility, the experience, everything that you're bringing to the table. I'm very, very impressed, and I want to continue this dialogue. I think there's a lot more we could talk about for sure. I'm going to give the stage over to you just for a few minutes. Whatever you want to end with, whatever you want the listeners to know about you, your company, your backstory, where you're going, that'd be fun. I would love to have just give you the stage and let you talk about what you want to talk about. So over to you, sir.
Awesome. And Jason, I'm happy you asked that because something popped up on my mind. And like this UAV Survey LLC and what I'm doing is bigger than me, is bigger than my company. What I hope to inspire is, other, really intelligent, adventurous, Americans to take that leap in the technology, fields and technology-based businesses. Here in America, we're spoiled, and that's a great thing. It's not a bad thing, but we've become more consumers than producers. And I think that it would behoove us, it would benefit us if we started, really making a commitment to innovation, with technology and the liberal arts as well, and the convergence of those. But to start, creating companies, really getting back into tech, of course, again, not as consumers, but producers. And I just hope to be one of the beacons that helps, move us towards that. So like I said, this is much bigger than me. The things I go through and the lessons I learn, I hope to share on a larger audience so we can inspire more of us to be what we can truly be. And that definitely segues into another discussion. And we talked about that earlier, but I'll let Jason take that right there. But that's all I have.
Yes, sir. We are going to be talking again. We'll consider this volume 1 of what I believe could be a multi-volume journey. Kwasi, thank you so much for your time today. You are a absolute treat, a gem in this industry, and I want to just do anything that I can to help share your story. So I want to continue this conversation, and I hope all of you have enjoyed these conversations. If you love these conversations as much as I love these conversations, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, because I'm always having great conversations with innovators, the way they think, the way that they view the world, the way that they've actually implemented technology. It just blows my mind, and I hope it does the same for you. So thank you so much, Kwasi. Thank you again, and we'll see you on the next episode of Do You Know Drones? Have a great day. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, at a following date, I would love to speak about, have a podcast with you about like the UAS industry and the geopolitical aspects of it. That would be a great podcast. Like,
oh my goodness gracious, that sounds awesome. Hold on, let me make a quick note.
Yeah, I have a lot to add to that because just what I did formerly, and just about like what's the real threat and what is kind of like just political. Oh, all that. We're gonna have a great one about that,
dude. All right, yeah, no, I'm excited, man. So this one, why are you gonna tease me like that? That's crazy. So now I want to talk about that.